Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial, and today we've got a follow-up video for one we made about 2 weeks ago on the number of damage control lockers Iowa-class battleships have. In that video, we talked about how an Iowa-class battleship was supposed to have 8, but we had always been told that New Jersey had 11. And how when we started looking, we could really only confirm 8 lockers. Well, in the 2 weeks since we made that video, in the course of walking around the ship, we have run into a ton more damage control lockers than we ever knew we had. In fact, at this point, we'll talk about them later on in the episode, but we're at somewhere around 12 or 13. So we've blown past the 11 that we knew about. And honestly, there could be more. The numbering system is not, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you find repair locker 15, you know that there are 14 other ones around out there. No, it's a real problem with the numbers. It's alphanumeric and all sorts of other weird stuff going on. But we believe that this is the case because Battleship New Jersey had a reputation for focusing on damage control. And it seems like her crew trained in it a lot, and they installed more equipment and probably more repair lockers around the ship than they were even supposed to. Or it could just be that other Iowa-class battleships haven't quite gone through as thoroughly as we have, and they could well have many of these same ones that we do. Hopefully, as we visit them in the future, we'll be able to check. So, we are up here in the anchor windlass room. This does not show up as a repair locker on any blueprints. It doesn't show up on any of the tags in Damage Control Central. There is nothing I've ever seen written anywhere that says this is a repair locker. However, there are shoring timbers stored in this space that aren't stored in other Iowa-class battleships. And when you come back in the corner where I'm standing, there is a set of damage control plates which has penned onto it Repair 2A organization. Now, there's no Repair 2A in the blueprints. But looking over here, we've got the repair plates where you would grease pencil in what the damage is and what you're going to do. You've got several sound-powered communication devices here, casualty power cable, fire extinguishers, OBAs for firefighting. We've already talked about the shoring timber. And then there's another cabinet up here where when we open the door, it says restow your gear properly, DCA, or Damage Control Assistant, who is the officer in charge of damage control in the engineering department. He would normally be in Damage Control Central during general quarters. So, this space and some other new ones we've found since our last video lead us to believe that the battleship has, and I had to write all these down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 damage control lockers, a flight crash locker, a log office, Damage Control Central, and several damage control offices and workshops spread around the ship. We also found evidence that the ship carried an EOD, or Explosive Ordnance Disposal Team, in the 1980s. Oftentimes, ships this size would have an EOD locker, and we're not sure where that is on New Jersey, but the fact that we carried an EOD detachment implies that we might have had one of those as well. So, just to go over my list of lockers, and this might be covered in the other video as well. On the main deck, repair lockers are numbered 1, and they'll often be 1F for forward, 1A for aft. You might also have a 1B that is in the middle. Repair 2 would be your below decks forward. Repair 3 is below decks aft. Amidships would be repair 4. New Jersey doesn't appear to have any of these. Repair 5 would be propulsion. There would be an ordnance casualty control team, which would be repair 6, which we did not believe New Jersey had, but recently found under turret 3. Galley, an island structure would be repair 7. That seems to only be on aircraft carriers. Repair 8 is ECCT. We talked about that in the last video. We don't believe we had one of those. Aviation fuel repair team. I think that this would have just been rolled in with the flight deck crash and recovery team. I'm not aware of any aviation fuel repair team, even though we've got aviation fuel on board. Crash and salvage team, which we have. EOD, which we believed we did not have, but have since found that the ship embarked an EOD party. At-sea fire party, which I'm not familiar with. All the repair lockers have firefighting equipment. And a DC equipment locker, which we've got everywhere. So that's the list that comes out of the manual. What does New Jersey have? Remember, in addition to the number, you then have F for forward, B for between forward and aft, and A for aft. Still not sure what B means. A couple of people thought it meant beam, but that makes no sense to me. Between seems like a cheeky answer, but that's the closest one because it's between forward and aft. The big issue is for things like repair 2, which is forward, there is an F, a B, and an A in some instances. So repair 2A is the aftermost forward repair locker, nominally. But also it seems like because these things are thrown in randomly, this repair locker where we're standing is 2A, but it's the furthest one forward. They made it 2A because it was added after 2F and 2B had already been installed, is my assumption. So then, well, what letter is left? Maybe doesn't make sense. So the ones that we know of now, the flight crash locker is only after end of the superstructure. The other Iowas have it in the old film projection booth. Ours was in a different place. Repair 2 is down in medical. Repair 3A is down in laundry. Repair 3 is in the marine berthing compartment on third deck back aft. 3B is in aft mess. It's just a little closet back there with a cage on it. 2C is outside the post office. That is just a locker. It does not seem to have one of these DC plate holders. It doesn't seem to have any communication devices. And above it is another repair locker on the main deck that the other Iowas don't have. So there is a strong chance that this repair locker was deleted and moved up a deck on New Jersey. There's also a strong chance that they just had another one because, hey, if 11's good, 13 must be better. It's unclear. We've got a repair 2B in forward berthing, 2A here at the windlass room. That doesn't make sense. 1F is just forward of the wardroom. 1B is outside of the damage control office. That's the one I was talking about, that it might be 2C moved up a deck. What does C mean? That's a fourth letter. That only shows up there. 1A is back aft at the aft end of the superstructure inside, as opposed to the flight crash locker at the aft end of the superstructure outside. You've got propulsion repair 5F and 5A on either end of Broadway. And then under turret 3, we found repair 6, which is the ordnance repair locker, which is just one of the former magazine spaces. It's just an empty room now, so I'm not sure if there was shelving or what sort of equipment was stored in there. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I've said this time and time again, a plan is just a plan. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's the way they did it. So the manual might say that they had 8. The booklet of general plans might show a certain number of these. Interestingly, They're all labeled differently. It's not like they're labeled Rep 1A, Rep 2B, Rep whatever. It's propulsion repair, Ordnance 6, or Ordnance Locker 6, other random things like that. So just looking at the plans, you don't necessarily notice that they're all damage control associated. But a plan is just a plan. It seems like the crew went through and did more of those unauthorized ship alts and added more repair lockers and more damage control equipment than is prescribed around the ship. And it makes sense that this ship had a reputation for being really great at damage control because of all of these extra steps that they take. Fortunately, the ship never had any sort of major incidents that required the damage control parties to be used, but they trained at it constantly. So, when all is said and done, how many repair lockers do you think New Jersey is going to end up with? Do you think it's the 13 we found so far? Or do you think it'll be more than that? Drop a number down below. I'd be interested in seeing how many of the roughly 1,000 habitable compartments you think had repair lockers like this one in them. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to continue supporting us. You can also support the museum by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about us and our channel. Thanks for watching.